Okay, so I'm just going to give a very quick recap since we're now recording. We've gotten up to 10 people. So we started our session on leveraging Schoogle and went over how to reach out for support and our curriculum and instruction calls to action. We talked about our session goals today. We want to maximize Google and Schoology and really how those work together. So some of the things we just went over was to make sure that you're signed in and syncing and how to access extensions. And then we just looked at some of the Google Drive apps. Nobody had questions about those. So we're getting ready to move into the Schoology with Google Drive assignments. After that, we're going to go into troubleshooting. There has been a lot of known issues. And so we are going to look at what to do when things don't work. Clearing out our browser history and some defaults that we can reset and maybe have a little bit better time getting those to work. We're also going to look at embedding Google items into Schoology and some workarounds when that doesn't work because, yeah, for added fun, embedding has not always worked, but we've discovered some workarounds and I'll share those with you. How to embed docs, slides, forms, and more. And then the last thing that I plan to touch on is just the Bitmoji Classroom craze. How it works with Google Slides. If you have a different type of Bitmoji Classroom, this isn't a session on Bitmoji Classroom, but I've never had a Google session where I don't get questions about this, so I'll touch on that as well. So we looked at making sure we're signed in and our sync is on. You can verify that in your upper right-hand corner of your Chrome browser. And we looked at some of the different Google apps. I didn't have any questions about those, the ones that we can access in our Drive. Pear Deck, although it's on this slide, Megan is currently doing a session right now and it's being recorded. So if you want to learn more about Pear Deck, you can grab her session later. All right, and we just ended on Chrome extensions. I pointed out to you that if you are signed in and your sync is turned on, that the district pushes out Clever, also pushes out Read and Write. And then I encourage anybody who wants to add Screencastify. And so I dropped a link here in the chat to add Screencastify. You would have to add that one yourself. All right, so we're getting ready to go into the next part, which is Schoology and Google Drive assignments. And I would knock on wood. I think my whole desk, maybe I've got some wood here. Knock on wood that it's working. Worked yesterday, but if it doesn't, we're going to on the spot troubleshoot how Google Drive assignments work. So for this one, I'm going to skip over the Schoology quick navigation. This is just if you're getting started with Schoology, quickly explaining to you what some of the settings are. And we're also skipping over Clever. We're going right here to Schoology and Google Drive assignments. So it's all the way on slide 20. There's a link to another deck. You do not need this right now to follow along with me, but if you want it for a resource later, you can refer to it. So the first thing that we need to actually do is to sync our Google Drive with Schoology. That's why that's so small. There we go. So when you are in Schoology, the first thing that you need to do, and I'm going to say that if you are somebody in this call who has had any trouble with Google Drive assignments, we're actually going to do this now. We're going to go into Schoology to our resources. And over on the left-hand side at the bottom is apps. So right down there, apps. What I actually recommend that you do is, even if it is connected, if you've had any problems with it, we're going to actually disconnect it. So I'm going to disconnect mine. Log out. Yep. Okay, now I'm disconnected. I'm going to actually hop ahead to some of the trouble. Is there anybody in this call who's had trouble with Google Drive assignments? Bueller? Nobody?
I have not, but where did you see? I didn't see where you got the app tab in Schoology. Where did you click that at?
Where I get the app tab in Schoology.
Well, you clicked app. You went to resources and then you said app.
Correct. So I can show it. So when I'm in Schoology, along the top here is resources. And I click on resources. Over on the far left at the bottom is apps.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's why we're a small group. Feel free to unmute and just ask. So if you've never connected it before, it will look like this. If you have connected it and you've had any problems, go ahead and disconnect it. But then so you will just connect your Google Drive to your apps and hit connect. Now, if you're signed in and syncing, it's going to queue up your account right there, and I just have to click it. If you're not signed in and syncing, you'll have to put in your Google information. You give Schoology permission to access your Google account, hit allow. And then you'll actually see back here, I've got this all written out for you. So if you're the type of person who wants to go back and have a step-by-step guide, it's right here. Resources, go down to apps, 3, connect your Google Drive, and 4, click allow. Now there's one more step though to get Google Drive assignments working, and this is that Schoogle part. We want Google and Schoology to work together. So in Schoology, I will go into my course, and so I'll just go into this course. And when I'm adding an assignment, again, these instructions are all right in here, adding an assignment. Then I'm going to give the assignment a title. I'm going to give, it says description over here to the left. I always consider that my instructions to students. And one tip, I always add the words click on my document above. And the reason I write that, and definitely depending on the age of my students, I might bump up my font. But the reason I write that, you'll see it in a moment when I create this assignment. All right, let's see if this works. So on the slides, you can see I'm naming it, and then I'm going to click on that Google Drive Assignments button. Get over here. All right. Now, because my drive is connected, it opened it up. The first time that you do it, you are actually going to have to give permission in here again. So the first time you try to use a Google Drive assignment, you will be giving the Google Drive assignments permission to connect with your Google Drive. So some people get tripped up on that. This is syncing your Google Drive with Schoology. You did that in resources and then apps. This is in your course. You've opened an assignment, and when you launched that Google Drive assignment button, you do have to give it permission one time. Now, you should only have to do it one time, typically. Because I've already done that, it just pulls up my Google Drive. And then, so I've got my Google Drive, and let's say that I want to assign all my students this slide deck. Maybe I'm going to give guided slides or guided notes with a slide deck. Or maybe I have a document that's a template for them to get started writing something. So I will just click on this one. And then all you do is hit attach. Or you got to select something. Here we go. There we go. Attach. All right, so this time it did work. Now, for anybody who's been having trouble, there's a couple of things that I did in my browser to clean it up that Schoology has reported has solved the issue. I've been it's been working more often than not lately, but if anybody runs into some trouble, there's some basic troubleshooting we can go over on the next part of the agenda. So you can assign a due date if you like. That's really good to have it appear on the calendar for them, for your students. So I'll make mine this Friday. And then your grading category. And you must select a category, even if it's ungraded. An assignment has to have a category. So you can either create a new category, use one that you've already created. I'm just going to mark it ungraded for now. There's a few more custom settings you can get into that would really make this more of a Schoology only training. But just so you're aware, things can still be individually assigned. You can lock it so that submissions can't take place until you're ready to unlock it, or you can lock it after the window has closed so they can't submit late. You can publish it to students, or if you're not quite ready for them to see it yet, just click it again and it's unpublished, and so forth. You will be able to copy this to another one of your courses if you want to. I'm enrolled in more than 50, but you will have that option. Hit create. All right. Now I have my sample assignment here, and you're going to see it opens very different looking. So this is not what Schoology typically looks like. So in here, in your slides, if you want sort of a visual note, we added our file. I hit attach. Then I set up my instructions. So right here, you can also add images or make the text fun. Those are other things you can do in Schoology. But all you do is click on this. Now, I do have this. It really is that easy, which is a little ironic with all the issues we've been having this year. But when it is working as expected, it is very easy. And then it opens it in this, it's not really so new by years. This is at least the third year they've had this, but it does have a different view than most other items in Schoology. And so that can take a little bit of getting used to. So for example, the teacher side, you've got the assignment with whatever you put as the description. You've got in progress and submissions, but your students have this view. And then this button says my document. So that is also on the next slide. The teacher side, I just went over that. Again, if you like the notes, it's all right here. And then the student view, they just see assignment and they have to click on my document. That's why I usually write it in there. The first time they click on my document, it is going to prompt them to connect their drive as well. So again, for students, if they're signed in and sync is on, that's going to be easier for them because when they click connect, then they will just connect to their Google Drive. And they will just connect, click on their name, and allow. So the same as you did, connect and allow. So there the student is. Once they've clicked on my document, they're inside of their document, and then they can start working, and I can give feedback within it. I'm going to full screen this for a second. Oh. All right. So while my students are working, I can just go to my in progress tab and I can literally hop between them and see what they're working as they're going and even comment and interact with them within the document. Then my students will submit the document. And once it's in the submissions, I can score it. All right. There's a couple more slides on the instructor side in here, but I really want to pause and make sure there aren't questions about the basics with Google Drive assignments. Sybil said an issue that remains across the board. Students accessing Google Meets before or after the teacher. Okay, yeah, so that, Sybil, I do want to address that because we got like 8 other people in the call. Just want to make sure our Google Meet issue, if you're having issues with things not working as expected, we do need you to contact the help desk, report that to them. When people have reported things to me, I've been sharing it with our director of applications, but really like what they need is those things called in. You may or may not have seen on Monday, an ITM email came out that there's been a lot of updates to Google Meet. Most of them have been security features. Even the meeting we're in now, if I wanted to, I could turn off the chat so you can't comment. I have some moderator controls, but that all is in that email on Monday. What they have been having is some people are reporting things not working as they should. I did hear reports of a student being in a meeting before the teacher, and the teacher assured us that, you know, she set it up as a meeting with a nickname and launched it as usual. We've just got to report that to the help desk so they can figure out if something with the changes on Monday affected something. So I definitely care about this issue and want to help you with it, but I also want to stay on topic of today's really about Schoology and Google and how they work together. Yeah, great. Thanks, Sybil.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Just really quick question. So I am a super sub over here at Pleasant Hill.
Mhm.
And this week I was the tech teacher, so he left lesson plans for me and everything. Well, next in a couple of weeks, the science teacher for 4th grade, he's leaving for the year.
Mhm.
How can I have access to create assignments? Do I have to get okayed by the school, or how does that work?
Yeah, your principal should have instructions on how to add you to the Schoology courses, and then they will just add you in Power School. But those are, yeah, so it'll be, you'll check in with your front office about Power School. They'll direct you for whatever your Power School access is. Your principal is going to be the one who gives you Schoology access. And the principal just received how to do that last week. So.
Okay, because I filled out a sheet. I think it was about Power School, and I had to send it. She signed it, and they had to send it over to the Ed Center. Okay.
Yeah. So that's probably just, bear with me one second.
Lonnie, I'm an occupational therapist in the schools, and I too do not have my own
I've had
classroom.
this thing on way too long,
Okay,
so
because I was wondering how that
So-
worked out. Okay.
Yeah, I was telling Lania, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Lania,
you're right, Lania.
that I'm an occupational therapist, so I don't really prefer to have my own classroom because that's just how we do it. We are support staff. But that's what I did is I was able to get my principal to fill out Power School and et
Okay.
cetera, et cetera.
Thank you both. Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you.
yeah. Are there any other questions on the topic of the Google Drive assignments? So, and then I mean, if this isn't what you're wanting to learn about, I just want to make sure I want to make sure that I'm meeting the needs of the group, but also trying to stay. Are we good?
I already use it, but I put in the link as to it. And when you clicked on the Google Drive assignment, I know that assigns it individually to kids.
Yes.
But many of the documents that I have in my Google Drive are gray. When I click on Google Drive, they show up gray, whether it's a Google form or whatever it is.
Yep.
Is there a reason?
Yeah, well, let's take a look actually back. Let me go back right to the agenda. Because we were going to get to troubleshooting when things don't work. And so we can go over those real quick. I gave you the high-level overview of Schoology with Google Drive assignments. I'd really like to answer any specific questions about that, but troubleshooting when it's not working has been something we want to make sure is done. So
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
yeah, one of the first things that I recommend is actually you can easily Google it so you can get step-by-step instructions later. This is not in my slide deck. This was just one of our goals for today was to help solve troubleshooting. So clearing, whoops, if I can spell right, from cache. All right, so we are looking for how to clear cache on cookies using our Google Chrome on Windows. And so I would not look at the first hit. My recommendation is always that we look for the support.google.com answer. So don't go to just whatever came up as most popular or most recent or who knows. Look for the one from support.google. And I'm going to drop this link in the chat as well. But just in case you need these instructions, you're going to open Chrome. We're going to hit the More button, the three-dot menu. And we are going to go to Tools and Clear Browsing Data. So More Tools and Clear Browsing Data. Now you can also get into it in here as well, right here. So you can select all these items and clear that data. I'm not going to do that right now because I think it will actually bump me out of this meeting. One time I did it. I demonstrated and I knocked myself right out of the meeting. But you can clear your browsing data, history, cookies, all that stuff. And then the other thing that you can do, it's actually a link Help Desk just gave me last week. I pull that up for you. There's this thing, it's called a something about flags and cookies. But anyway, I'm going to share this link with you as well. So if you try these things, I did these things and I've not been having problems with it. Now, do you see this one that's called Same Site by Default Cookies? This is actually usually on the word default, but we disable it. So if you do that and you clear your browser history, then you can try, if it's not working, you can always try to go into resources and disconnect it, but it should connect it. You should have some of those problems cleared up. So I'm going to drop those links to you now so you have them. The first one was your browser history, clearing it. That's that link. And then this one is Chrome flags, same site by default. We're gonna change that default setting. So change from default to disable. I think it was, yeah, disabled to disabled. And actually it's top option. So it's just that first one from okay, so when you do that one, try this link. And so you'll just click on, Oh, it didn't put it as a link. Hold on. You've just got to copy and paste this in there. So I don't know what just happened there. So in the Google meeting, just go down to this and copy this. And then you can just paste it in a new tab. Let me close out some of these. Just paste it, enter, and then it's this. Our help desk has been helping people just change the setting, and it's been taking care of a lot of the issues. All right. I know just enough to be dangerous. I can't explain to you what that actually is or why it's doing that. I'm sure we could Google it and learn about it together, but I don't really care. I just needed to fix the problem. So, and I'm sorry, I think that was Anthony that had that question. Anthony, can you just give those 2 things a try and then see if you can access things in your drive?
All right. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, no problem. Are there any other questions about troubleshooting, like when the things aren't working? All right. If not, we went over this at a really high level. Whoops, I accidentally closed my Schoology course with my Google Drive assignment. All right, we've got our teacher version of the Google Drive assignment. We looked at what this looks like from both a student or a teacher and then a student perspective. And now we're looking at the instructor side when it's submitted and grading. So what's really cool about this is we can just click right here. If we've enabled grading, like if we made it 10 points, it defaults to 100 points. You can make it any kind of custom that you want. My favorite way to grade with these is using a rubric. Makes it super simple to just click right through that rubric. But you just click on the grade area. It pulls up this grading field. You can put in the score. You can put in a comment. And you can decide if you want to share that comment, that gradebook comment with your student. This is just a basic grade. If you did use rubrics, you would be able to grade each category and actually comment on each category. So it's a little bit extended when you use a rubric. So it's grading with Schoology and Google Drive assignments. And so this is just a little bit more of an expanded view on what that looks like. Now, if your students do not do well or you want them to resubmit it, let's say that you wanted them to get at least a 7 out of 10 and they only scored a 6 or a 5. After you're done scoring it, you can go back and click unsubmit to your students so that they can have a chance to keep working in it and resubmit it again. Keep in mind, it doesn't let them submit after the due date's passed. So you may want to go in and adjust your due date if you want to extend it. Or if you want to have them maybe have a second chance to do it, you could always make a duplicate assignment and just assign it to the students who need it through individually assigning. All right. Those are just some resources if you want them. Some of my favorite ones are templates from Alice Keeler and Christine Pinto. If you're looking for what can I assign in Google Drive assignments, no, I don't want her advertisements. But they have templates published. Whoops, I did not mean to click that. There we go. So there's templates that you can just take for free. They prompt you to make a copy of the document. You click make a copy, it goes to your drive. And then so these are some templates that are out there for free. So those were all linked in this additional resources slide. If you wanted to add templates, you could. Nobody really did that last time I shared this. I've been sharing this. There's not a lot in here. Let's see if anybody added anything. Yeah, no. So don't worry about this last link, but there's a sample folder with various templates inside of it that you can take a look at, and you can use these if you want to. All right. I really like these first 3. These are great Google educators who share all of their stuff out for free. Okay, so that was a look at Google Drive assignments. We looked at how to troubleshoot it if it's not working right, how to make sure it's connected. Is there any kind of questions on Google Drive assignments? And if not, we're going to get into embedding content next. Okay. Well, then here we go. We're going to go into the next topic. Just so you're aware, when you're in a Google Drive assignment, it does appear differently. You can just follow the file path right at the top. Some people call it the breadcrumb trail, but we are right now in assignments. The assignment we are in, I just named it title, but it would be the name of your assignment. We're in assignments. So if I want to go back to my homeroom, I don't have to go up here. I can just follow that trail of files back. All right, so I'm in here now. And what I really like to do, like this is a sample of some embedded images that I've shared recently. What I like about this is I can move and manipulate this. I can zoom in. I made this small like tiles, but I could make them very large or not. So this is embedded images. Another thing that I like that I have embedded is, oh, it's actually in another course. One moment. I have also embedded Google Forms. So let me show this. Oh, sorry. Okay, maybe I can't find it right now. Sorry. Huh. Well, darn. It's possible that something got deleted in my course. Everything that I'm actually showing on the screen here, these are embedded Google Slides. So maybe I'm going to have a slide deck on a lesson with my students, and I want it embedded right here on the screen so that they can interact with the slide deck. This is embedded right in Schoology. So they don't have to click and open something else. You'll notice that when they're in here, they just land in and they're in the assignment. But hold on one second, because I wanted to show you embedded forms, and I've lost it. Row. Yeah, somebody has. Huh? I'm sorry. So, well, this is an embedded YouTube video. I had my embedded forms, and I actually just can't find it right now. But I'll just show you how to do it instead. How about that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it is. All right. How about we go with, since we're a small group majority, what do you want to see first? How to embed a document, how to embed a Google slide, how to embed a Google form? What do we want to see?
I'd be interested in seeing how a Google form, because I use forms with my students for tracking their work, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. I am actually, I had it in this course and it appears to be gone.
So you have to do each of them in a different way?
No, I was trying to give you a visual of it, and it's just,
Okay.
yeah, I'm just having trouble finding my materials, and this is not usual for me. I don't know, but I'll just show you from scratch in a sample course. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is open my Google form, and which one I'll do, I will do our curriculum and instruction exit ticket, which you're going to use today. I'll embed it in my sample course. So let me grab the form first. Oh, and this is an embedded PDF from Google as well. Okay, let me pull the form out. I'm not going to be able to embed it because I don't own it. I forgot about that. I'm going to just pull up a different form. So bear with me 1 second while I pull up a new form.
Oh.
All right, so this check-in emoji response. This is a Google form that I made for how are you feeling today? And it's got these options that students can answer. So this is just like a you know, PBIS, or this is like a yeah, how you're feeling. I have no idea why I'm having like just brain freezes right now. Sorry. All right, in my courses, let's say that I want to have them interact with it right away. Like, especially if I teach younger kids, I just want them to see that as soon as they land in the course. So I could do that in a page. Also, though, I could do this on any item. I could do it on an assignment. I can do it on a discussion. I'm just going to go to a page for the example. And I'm going to call this one Embedded Form. All right. So this is actually quite simple. You just go into a form if you own it. And on Send, you'll notice right at the top here is a little embed icon. That's what this little icon means. It means embedded. It's an HTML code. So instead of sending it via email or copying the link, grab this embedded code, and then all you have to do is click on Copy. Now back over in Schoology, in whatever material I selected, an assignment, discussion, in my content area, in the blank space, right up here it says Insert Content. This is the one that has not been working. So if it doesn't work, I'm going to show you a second way to do it. All right. We can insert from our Google Drive resource app. That's the ones that we did before. But this one, I've got an embed code from this document. So I'm just going to go over here to Image Media from the web. If I click on Media, and I'll go through those steps again slow, and I paste that code, you'll see you just get this yellow preview box that shows you like how big it is. You can actually drag and resize it. You are kind of working blind when it comes to embedded content. It always adds some white space at the top. You can either use that white space to label it, the form, or I very often just delete it because the form itself has plenty of labels on it. So I can decide however big I want this to be, make sure it's big enough that students can actually interact with it. But then when you create it, two quick tips. One, there's a little button at the bottom of a page. If I want it to show up right on the front so they don't have to click on anything else, if I display it in line, the default is a new page, but it display it in line, I hit create, and boom, as soon as my students log into my course, they are in my embedded form. So they can read the form. How am I feeling today? They can answer it. Let's see, feeling silly. They can decide if they want a copy of it or not and hit submit. And it just lives right here in the material. So this can be a great way to add a Google form if you are doing a quick check-in for how they're feeling, or if you've got a Google form for taking attendance, or whatever you want to use your Google form. You can embed that form. So again, to do that, when we went to share, we just grabbed that third option, the embed code, and hit copy. In our materials, we added a page. And on this one, we're just going to this insert content. We are inserting, it's actually image media from the web media. Now, it's because it gives you the embed code option here. So when I paste that and insert it, it gives me that preview of how big it is. Now, I can also shrink it down quite a bit. I want to show you, though, what it looks like shrunk down. Just be mindful. You shrink it too much. And I'll show you how it looks if you don't hit display inline. The default is just to put it on a new page. So you can see it's just a hyperlink. So maybe you don't want it sitting right there and taking up all this space on your course. Maybe instead you just want it on its own link. And there it is, a little skinny. So this worked well for this, since it's so large and visual. But just keep it in mind, it's going to be whatever size you shrink it to. So that's embedding a Google form. I can show how to embed Google Slides. Okay, so the example that I showed you before, particularly here, this whole section I set up with embedded Google Slides. So, oops. So the students can click through and follow along on the slides. No, it's not supposed to work like that. They can click through and follow along with the slides here. And they don't have to go anywhere else. They don't have to open anything else. So this could be at the top of a discussion board. So then they could just like look through the slides and answer the discussion board. It can be even added inside of an assignment or discussion. Maybe you want them to review their notes before they do a quiz. You could actually embed them right there. So for this one, we'll go back here, and I will use a discussion board. Maybe I want them to have a discussion and I want them to refer to those notes. All right, so I give my instructions. I still don't know why Schoology calls it description, but instructions to my students. And then I'm going to get into embedding my slides. Now, this is the part that may or may not work. I'm batting about 50-50 here right now. So instead of the image media here, I'm just going to go to my Google Drive resource app. I've got fingers and toes crossed right now because this doesn't always work. All right, you can look in your Google Drive. I'm going to look for the title of this slide, Leveraging Schoogle. All right, there is my document. So I'm going to click it, but this isn't like the Google Drive assignments. That was adding it for all the students to get a copy. This time I'm importing it, and the bottom option here, import as embedded. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. Boom, it worked. Okay. So that had been having a lot of errors. So clear that browser history and use that flag, that same site cookies link, because that has been clearing up this issue. So now I've got my slides embedded. Another nice thing, I can make them larger or smaller just by dragging and selecting that box. So I've got a discussion board, instruction to students, review slide 9, and answer the discussion question below. So I can create this for my students. Discussion boards, you can add due dates, you can add grading to them. You don't have to. And again, all the other features of Schoology there, you can individually assign and so forth. Right now, you can also share it across classrooms, or sections, excuse me. That's a really nice feature of discussion boards. I'm just going to hit create. Right, there's my discussion board. And now when I click on it, so there are my slides. It's actually our slide deck from today. And so my students got the instructions to go to slide 9, and we're going to just pretend that that had a discussion prompt on it, and then they can answer right there. So they're not having to go to multiple tabs. I really like to embed my content whenever possible. So you can embed the slides, you can embed a form, you can also embed docs, PDFs, and images as well. Would anybody like to see the images embedded? It's probably one of my favorite ones. All right, let's look at images embedded. And we're at 2:03. Originally, I'd planned to stop by 2 for just Q&A, but we got a little bit of a late start before we got everybody in here. I didn't even hit record earlier. So I'm going to show embedding the images first. All right, for this one, we will do a different assignment type or a different item type. So far, I've shown you a page and a discussion board. Why don't we do a quiz? So I'm going to give my quiz a name. And then I'm going to give it a due date. You have to give it a category. I can make it ungraded or remote learning quiz or whatever you set it up. Just make sure if you are going to use your grading categories that you follow the instructions for syncing your grades to Schoology. If you make up a category and it doesn't exist, it just all falls to the end of the year worth 100 points. Like you've got to sign up. You've got to sync your grade book. Different topic, but just keep that in mind. So I'll make mine ungraded for now. So this is my quiz name. I'm going to hit create. Now, what I like about this is my questions, maybe I'm going to have them look at a picture. So I'm going to have them look at a picture and maybe either give me a short answer or essay or fill in the blank or matching, whatever item I want to give them. Let's just do a true false. So in here now, I can insert content and my Google Drive resource app. I've got those pictures that I showed you, the civil rights pictures that I had in that grid. So ignore the name on here. This is my colleague who owned the picture, so I've just got them named by her name. All right, so her pictures, I've got number 1, I can import, and then again, we're just embedding it. We're importing it as embedded. And then you can see it gives me that yellow preview. So I can resize it. So I might want to make it really large or small. Again, that white space, it's given to you so you can label it if you want to, label or give instructions. And then if you are giving a quiz and you gave a true false, you just want to make sure that you mark what the correct answer is. There's more advanced things you can do in your quiz, but right now we're focused on embedding the Google content. So I'm going to hit create question. Now, the next one I'm going to show you though, so you can see that my students get this question, they've got the picture, they can pop it out if they want to so they can see it much larger. Or I'm going to show you how I set it up. They can actually scan right here. You can't see that I'm just sliding my track of my mouse. Or in here, it doesn't have to be popped out for them to zoom. And when they zoom, they can drag it and move it around. I really like this feature of embedded Google Images. I heard a little ding, so let me see if there's a question about that. You guys, we're a small group, so feel free to unmute. Oh, yeah, Judith, absolutely. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, it's just me. I have a student waiting at 2:05 for a session with OT. So I didn't know if you put up the exit ticket. I hate to miss some stuff.
No, I'll give it to you now. I did not put it up yet, but I'll give it to you now. So you can just mark it down as an hour if you want.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Anybody who's staying in, we will be in for a full hour and a half. But right now, exit ticket. There you go.
Marvelous.
Click on that link. You're welcome. If anybody else needs to go, my feelings won't be hurt. I'm just nerding out with you.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of am sorry I'm going to be missing it, but
Oh, yeah. Well, we're just
go.
going to get into more. Really, if you just remember to click on Add Embedded, I mean, it's fairly easy.
Yes. And I'll come look at the rest of the recording.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad I did end up hitting recording. Good.
Thanks.
All right. So this one now I'll give them a multiple choice. And so for this was one I really enjoyed doing recently. So I like how tables help organize things. So I'm going to give them 3 options. So I inserted a table. I gave them 3 cells. Now I can make them stacked on top of each other. I can make it any size I want. In the example that I showed you, I think I got off of it now, but I showed you the 3 pictures side by side. And so that's what I'm going to be working on right now. Now I know it's very hard to see on your screen, but it gives you a table with very small cells that only have a space for one little click of a cursor. A lot of people right away start to resize this. My tip to you is don't resize the table. We're going to embed the content and the table is going to auto size. I like that about Schoology. So I place my cursor into the box or into the table and I go just back to insert content. This is super simple. If you want a review of just this one, I did a 5-minute video on this. Go back to my Google Drive resource app. I'm going to add resources, and I'm just going to look for that picture again. All right, on this question, I want to give them 3 pictures to choose between. So it'll be picture number 1, embed. Now, it comes in at a certain size, and it comes in with the white space. For the table one, I delete the white space, and then I would just want to drag it down to like a tile size. And there are probably ways to be technical about this. I eyeball it all. I just use my intuition. All right. Put my cursor in the next field. And again, it is just insert content, Google Drive resource app, and search for the name of my picture. I do suggest you organize things in your Drive in folders and name those folders something specific so it's easy for you to find. But then it's just this simple. I'm clicking the picture. I'm clicking import embedded. I delete my white space. I resize the image to be about the same as the one next door to it. Now, if you want to get particular, if you're either slightly OCD or you just enjoy it, you can go into the picture settings and you see these dimensions, you can actually make them line up exactly. I have never done that. I do sometimes go in there and I will add some like a name to label it or something like that. But just so you know, you can get very specific if you like. It's not my style. All right, I'm going to put my 3rd picture in there. Cursor's placed in the table. Google Drive resource app. I'm going to look for picture number 3. Embed it. and delete my white space and resize it. Again, I could get specific if I wanted to. I just eyeball it. Now it's a little wider. If I have to scroll this bar, chances are my students are going to have to scroll. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. And you can see this is not scientific at all. I'm just resizing. All right. So then I may be going to say to my students, you know, which image displays brutality. There we go. Which image displays brutality? And so options are going to be A, B, C. It gives you 4 choices, but you can just check this and remove that. And then you just have to mark which one's correct. I don't remember which one it is, but I believe it's B. And click Add. Oh, no, sorry, not click Add. Remove blanks. And click Create Question. All right, and so now question number 1, they can answer that with true and false. Question number 2, they've got these little pictures, but they can drag and manipulate them. I would probably go back and make those a little bit bigger. That's just me, or they can pop them out. So in either case, I've got these pictures embedded. All right. I have shown, so I've shown you how to embed Google Forms, Google Slides, pictures, not drawings. There's a difference between the Google app, Google Draw, but images saved in my Google file. I'm going to show you how to embed a Google Doc as well. And then, so I'm going to go out of this quiz and go into a different item type. And let's see, I could do it on an assessment. For time's sake, I'm just going to add it to a page. Pages are simple. Embedding a doc. So it could be your newsletter. You just want to remember that when you're embedding content, it's very different than Google Drive assignments. Google Drive assignments is assigning a copy to each of your students where they get their own copy and they turn it in. But if you don't need them to turn it in, you just need them to see it, and you've got a Google document, we're going to, again, go into Insert Content, Google Drive Resource App. And then, so for this, I'll just look for a doc that I have. Nice thing is if you click on it, you get to see a preview of it. I don't know what I want to, here we go. I'll just say that it's this one. So find your Google Doc that you want to embed, check it, import embedded. Again, it's going to come through at a specific size. You can either give information about it or a label. Tell them what this is all about. Drag and resize it according to how you want it to show up. Hit create. Now, because I just did it on a page, I think I dropped it to the bottom because I went to add materials. Yep. Right here. There is that embedded page. This font is a little small, to be honest with you, for an embedded page, but it's just, this is how I can have it in here. And they're not needing to click on make a copy. They don't need it in their Google Drive. I don't want them to have to hunt in their Google Drive later. I just want it right there in the course. Keep it in mind if it's for students, you might want to, in your copy, bump up the font so it's larger, but that is embedding. You can also go in and make it larger. So you can always take it and drag it out. Just be mindful that if you drag it too large, larger than the frame, see, you'll have to scroll like that. But that helps a little bit if you want to embed that document. So we looked at the main types of Google apps to embed. We looked at Google Forms, Slides, Pictures, and Documents. I'm going to go back here. We covered embedding. And I'm going to go to the Bitmoji Classroom craze and give you my quick tips on that, unless you are just not interested. If you're not interested, we're not going to cover it. Does anybody in this group have a Bitmoji Classroom or want to see how we do those in Google in Schoology?
Rosemary, I wanted to ask a question because I saw your video about how to embed it, And I could not get the links to work for the PDF.
Yeah, so it does work with the PDF, but the question that you had was actually that 5-minute video was the workaround when embedding wasn't working. So I can show you how to make it work now with both a PDF or just directly from your slides. Make sense? So I'll show you both.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the reason I prefer to embed my Bitmoji Classroom as a PDF, and I'm going to show you mine. Just bear with me 1 second while I pull it up. Oops. All right. I like to use my Bitmoji Classroom to link out to my other courses or sections. I don't like this view. When I embed my slides on the home page, it kind of squishes it when it's a slide. Now, the reason why is because of this panel here, the calendar on the right. So what I recommend we do is we have a folder, and then we can add our Bitmoji Classroom. So I'm going to show you both ways, one with just a Google slide, and then I'll show you the embedded PDF and why I prefer the PDF. So for this, I will add a page. Now for a Bitmoji Classroom, I always go straight to displaying it in line because we want it to show up as soon as they're in there. And I'm going to call this our class home base. All right, I'm going to embed a Bitmoji Classroom with Google Slides, and then I'm going to embed it with a PDF. First one I'm going to do it's actually in my virtual classroom folder. So, all right, here is my Google Slides version. And it really is this simple, everybody. You just embed it and you just drag it. Try not to ever drag it outside that frame. Just eyeball it because you want everything to show up for them. And now the nice thing about a Bitmoji Classroom, if you've set it up right, you don't need to put any other instructions. You don't need anything else with it because it should link out to your other things. When I hit create, here it is as a Google slide. Now, there is nothing wrong with using the Google slide. It will work, but it can take a little bit of time for these elements to load. Now, the reason why I said I do a PDF instead is because this is a slide. And so if I'm on a device like an iPad or a mobile phone and I don't have Google Slides downloaded, this might not display. So that's the only reason that I do the PDF instead. But this does completely work. And then it will just take them to their connected areas. I like to give them a little link back when I can, or just post the same one. So this was embedding it as a slide, Google slide. Let me show you how I would do it with the PDF. So you'll notice one thing here. Let me go back to that Bitmoji Classroom. In my Bitmoji Classroom, you see like right here, there's a blank computer screen. I'm just going to make one change on it. I just have to find mine. There it is. Okay, here's my Bitmoji Classroom. This is the slide I embedded. I'm just going to like take this. Whoops. Actually, here, I just want to make something very clearly changed. So I'll just drop that over there. Pretend this is on the screen. I'm just moving stuff around so you can see changes. So when I'm done with this, if I go back here, whoops, hit refresh. Because it's embedded, do you see I did not have to go and edit it in Schoology. So the changes that I'm making over here, I don't have to go edit that later. So this is really how Google and Schoology work together really well. If I've got embedded content, so whether that's my Google Slides or the doc or the form or whatever it is, I just need to manage my edits in my Google Drive. I don't have to hop back and forth and change it. If I choose to do a PDF, just so that it works better across devices, what I do have to make sure that I do, whoops, I want to leave that change so I can show it. So there's my change I made, and it could be that, you know, it's our class website of the day or whatever it is. I've made my change. I have to do 2 more steps. Download the PDF. And then in my drive, I go to that that PDF of it. See, that's not changed. So here's what I have to do. I have to manage versions. That one you might want to jot a note on. I don't have this as written instructions yet. So Bitmoji Classroom, I have to manage versions. And there's this nice little button right here, upload a new version. So you can actually see that every time I've updated my Bitmoji Classroom, if I want my PDF updated, I just upload it. I just downloaded it, so open. It added that version. I can close it. Now, whoops. Back in here, you'll see that my Bitmoji Classroom has now been updated with that link. So, well, I gave you a link that doesn't work in our network. Huh? Okay, these PDF links, when you are doing them from your classroom or from your slides, you just have to make sure that when you download it as a PDF document right here. The one that I showed about connecting it, I'm going to also show downloading it as an image. Now on this one, I want to make a shortcut for my students to be able to hop right into there. So this that says click to enter our classroom. I'm just going to copy this whole thing. Pretend like this isn't here. I'm going to just make a copy of it. All right. Here it is. There's that image, but it's old. I've updated it if I want to change it or whatever. That image I just downloaded, I can stick that in there, resize it. And now I just got to make sure that this links to that home, wherever that Bitmoji Classroom is that I want. So it might be on the main landing page. I can embed it there. You can see I don't like to do that because of the black space. So I'm going to go down and I have it inside of a folder. It appears nice and full size because that calendar isn't on the right. I want them to go there. So I just link that there. Okay, and now I can just grab all of this and copy it. This is the very last piece of the Bitmoji Classroom. Save. Okay, I save it just so that I can refer to it later and edit it if I need to. And then on my updates, I'm going to tell my students this update. Click to enter our classroom. Hit post. Now my students, when they log in, should have, right, that's what they'll see. So this isn't actually my Bitmoji Classroom, and this could be where you got stuck as far as saying that the links didn't work. They don't work on this picture, but if I link it to where it is, now they're in my course, and they can either use this to navigate around. This does work. So this one, again, is a slide. I could have done the same thing with a PDF. It's the same difference. I just, I look for it in my drive. I click on it. I import as embedded, and it will be a PDF, and it would look like this instead. This is an embedded PDF instead of a slide deck. But the links do still work in a PDF. I would guess that maybe the links did not work for you if you just did the image link. But the links do work on a PDF.
So, okay, so I guess that's why when I clicked on the entire PDF, when I tried to click on the individual parts of the PDF, it didn't work. It's like I couldn't get the individual parts in the PDF to work. So I need to connect it to the slide. Is that what I need to do? Link it to the slide?
So you build it in your slides. So I built this in my slides, right? Like, I'll move this around here. I'll just delete this now. I built it in my slides. I downloaded it as a PDF. It's just a little bit better for loading. It really depends on what age you work with too. If you're working with 2nd grade and up and they're on a PC, embedding the slide isn't really that big of a deal. I tend to lean toward primary audiences, and I also tend to lean toward maybe parents who are accessing from different devices and things like that. So you do not need to download it as a PDF. It's just one extra step that you can do to make sure it works better across devices. But you do not have to do it. But I build in my Google Slide, and then I just go to File, Download, PDF document. Now, PDFs do download with, like, if I've added hyperlinks in here, they do work even on my computer. Like, I can just open it directly here, and like this is going to take us to the discussion board, and I'm in there. So the links do work on a PDF. The extra step I have to take, though, is just to go ahead and upload that PDF into my Google Drive, and then this ends up being what I share, what I embed in my course, this PDF link here. Now, if you did happen to download it as a picture and click and link to that, or maybe if you tried to upload the PDF directly from your computer, I'm not really sure, but if you use it from here, it will work.
Okay, I think I understood. I think that's what a mistake was. I tried to upload it from my computer, but if I download the PDF to my Google Drive and then upload it from my Google Drive onto my page, the link should still work.
Yeah. So it is, now it feels like a little cumbersome because you are actually taking the file that you worked in, downloading it as a PDF. You're going to go back in. Originally, the first time, you're going to have to upload that PDF. But then as you make changes, you just go back to that PDF and you just manage the versions. And then that way, you're not ever changing your link in Schoology. It will just upload.
Okay, that's a nice feature.
Yeah, I would bet that if you just uploaded it from your computer instead, that might be it. Or it might have been that you maybe uploaded the image instead. Images do not work as links unless you link the image to something. But like the individual links will not work. It has to be a PDF or the slide.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are ending this session. I'm glad we took the route of answering questions as we went, because that way we just hit all the questions as we went through. I'm going to go ahead and drop your exit ticket one more time in case you didn't get that. That is this link right here. I will have this recording on my YouTube channel, which if you're in our recorded PD sessions folder, I'll show you where that is. Let me find it. Let's see. Go ahead and fill out your exit ticket while I pull up this folder. All right. So PD recordings appear in this folder. If you want all of them, I suggest you look at them. There's a lot more members on our team. These are all the recordings that we have in this folder. This is my my playlist menu, and this is going to be on our Schoology virtual PD recordings. And I will probably duplicate it over to the Google category as well. But it'll be right in here, and should be uploaded within the next 24 hours or so. In my videos, I do always put in the footer a transcript of the chat. So all of the links I shared with you will be in there as well. So if you're looking back for those, let's see. I'll just open up this one. So if later you want to remember where that link was, if you just click below, it'll say link to chat transcript. And then inside of that will be all of the links I just shared. And our agenda. Our agenda will be in there as well. So we made it through everything and got all the questions answered. What a successful session. I don't usually hit everything on the agenda. I tend to overplan. All right, complete your exit ticket. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you for attending.